Okay, so we want to go through and do a little bit of house cleaning on these virtual machines before we continue. Now, there's a couple of issues we need to take care of, and if you see this happen often, then you'll know why. This particular box, you notice the 2012 R2 server has turned off, and it turned off after about an hour. And what that tells me is that it turned off all by itself. What it tells me is that its evaluation cycle has expired. So I need to go run that SLMGR on that machine. And when you fire it up for the first time, or not for the first time, but when you fire it up, you have an hour to take care of it. So I'm going to connect up to it. I'm going to go ahead and hit start. We'll go ahead and log in. And you'll notice down here it tells me the license has expired. So again, if you remember how we fix this is we're going to open up a command line or a PowerShell prompt. Make this big again. And we're going to type in slmgr-rearm. Tells me it was successfully completed. And technically I don't need to reboot it. It will actually stay on now nonstop, but on the next reboot this will go away. Which reminds me, one thing we want to talk about now is setting up these virtual machines so that if we goof something up, we can always roll back to a pristine environment. Now, in order to do this, we need to first of all shut down all of these machines. So I'm going to highlight all of them and just simply right-click and select Shut Down. Don't select Turn Off. A turn off is like smelly feet. That's just one of my turn-offs. Now, a turn-off is the equivalent of pulling the power plug out of the power supply, and you don't want to do that because you don't have any pristine image to go back to. So instead, I'm going to do a shutdown, which is the equivalent of me going through each of these machines and going to start and shut down, and you're going to see all these pop off here on me. That's okay. And you notice that they're now all turned off. Everything is set up the way that I want them as far as having that pristine image. So I'm going to right-click and select create a checkpoint. Now this is a new phrase. In previous versions of Hyper-V, it was called a snapshot. And I believe VMware still uses that concept as snapshot. It's the same thing. Basically, I'm going to take a snapshot or a picture of this machine, configured exactly the way its state, its settings, its programs, everything. So I'm going to create a snapshot or checkpoint. If I say snapshot, it's because I'm an old dog that grew up with snapshots. And if I come down here and highlight my server, you'll notice the snapshot that it created, or this checkpoint that it created, it names it based off of the computer name and the time and date. Well, that doesn't really help me a lot. It's not real descriptive. So I'm going to slow double click this bad boy, and I'm going to type in instead starting image. And I'm a shortcut guy, so I'm going to copy that by highlighting it and selecting Control-C. Then I'm just going to come up here to my Windows 8.1, slow double click, Control-V, and continue on here. And it's a good thing I did that snapshot there because I did the snapshot after I renewed on the Server 2012 box, so now I don't have to worry about that for another 180 days. We'll go ahead and click this one. Okay, so now I've got snapshots that represent the starting image. The next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and highlight all these, and I want to fire them all up. And you can do these one at a time if you'd like. If you've got enough CPU and resources going, you can get them all up and going. You can see this firing up. We'll give them a second here to get going. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into each of these machines. I'm going to create a second snapshot. This snapshot is going to be with the machine fully turned on and already logged in. And how that's going to help me is in the long run, if I goof something up, I can just apply the snapshot and I don't have to wait for it to reboot. I don't have to wait for it to log in. I don't have to type in the password again just to log in, because the snapshot will have been made after I've done all those things the first time. You guys have seen me go through and open up the command prompt or the PowerShell prompt, and I've typed in or I've changed up my font size and my color, and each time I go in I have to make that change. Well, I can create a snapshot after I've made the change and it'll always be there for me. So I've been killing as much time as I can, letting these machines kind of settle in. Let's fire up the 08. Actually, let's start at the top and work our way down. So we'll start with the 2012 box. I'm just going to double click on it, which connects me in. I'm going to select the action of Control-Alt-Delete. My cap lock is on. I'm going to log in with my admin password, and we're going to let all this settle down here. Server Manager console is going to come up, and that's okay. We'll let it come up. We're going to have some services here that, there we go, they're all going now. I'm going to minimize that. I'm going to open up my PowerShell. Whoops, I meant my PowerShell. My PowerShell command prompt. Hey, look, it kept my interface or my size, but you know me, we're going to change those colors up. Okay, we're just going to minimize it. I'm not going to close it. I'm just going to minimize it so I can pop it right back open. Okay, so now that's done. The other way that you can create snapshots besides through the manager like we just did back over here is I can come up under my actions and select checkpoint. And I like doing it this way because it allows me to actually name it instead of having to go through and rename it like we did previously. I'm going to call this one booted, meaning that it's booted up. I'm going to hit yes. And I'm going to go ahead and close the connection to it, even though it's still running. And you'll now notice that there's a booted snapshot. I'm going to do the same thing with my Server 08 box. We're going to connect into it. We'll go ahead and log in as administrator. And we're going to go ahead and open up our PowerShell command prompt. Oh, there's the Server Manager. Cool, that's open. Cool, we'll just minimize those. Everything's ready to go on this one, so we'll come into Actions, Checkpoints, type in Booted. You can actually see that a checkpoint was created down there. It actually creates it before I finish renaming it, and then the renaming is just the last minute thing to do. Okay, we're going to go ahead and close that console down. Next up is our Windows 8.1 box. We're going to just open that one up again. We're going to go ahead and log in. Hey, with Bruce Wayne's account. Remember his password was Batman. I guess I could have logged in as administrator. And again, just for giggles, I'm going to open up a command prompt. And I'm going to open it with administrative rights, just so I have it up and going. Have the UAC. We're going to change the settings here again, my font sizes. Change the color. You can do whatever you want, folks. I'm just a little fanatic when it comes to the Dark Knight. Okay, I'm going to minimize that. Maybe I'm going to also bring up my admin tools. And we'll have those sitting up ready to go. We'll minimize that. I'm going to close down that. Now you'll notice, again, the machine's still running. I just lost my connection to it, so I can open it back up and everything's back. But I forgot to create my snapshot, so let's go. Oops. Let's connect back into it. And we'll do a checkpoint, and we're going to again call this one booted. Notice again it's downloading. There it goes. Finishes configuring. We're going to close that console down. Do the same thing on Windows 7. We'll connect up to it. Log in. Again, I'm going to open up my admin tools. Trust me, I'll show this all to you guys as soon as we're done what it's actually done for us, creating these snapshots if you haven't caught in the vision yet. I'm going to open this one with administrative rights as well. There's the UAC. We'll minimize both of those, and we'll close the connection. But again, the machine is still running. And for Kali, we're going to go ahead and connect into it. I'm going to just log in with administrative rights or with my root. So I'm going to select root as the username, put in our password, get our desktop. Oops, I fat fingered the password there. And I'll wait for my desktop to show up. Maybe I'll go ahead and open up a terminal, have that ready to go. We'll minimize it though. And again, I'm going to just close that console. So now all these machines are up and running the way I want them to be. And everything that I've done up until this point has been stored. When I created the snapshot, it put it inside of this section right here called booted. Anything I've done since then is stored in what they refer to as the now. I haven't really done anything since then, but I'll show you what I mean by this. I'm going to go and highlight all these machines. Man, I really blew that one too. I forgot to create the snapshot for Kali. We'll just right click and create the snapshot. And we're going to call this one booted. Maybe thinking, what was he doing? Okay, so I'm just going to go through and check. Oh, yeah, I didn't create a snapshot on Windows 7 either, did I? You get to see someone make mistakes on the fly. We'll do checkpoint here. Again, this will be booted. We'll close that window down. I'm just double checking all of them, make sure they all have a booted snapshot. There we go. Okay, so how the snapshot comes into play is this. I'm going to just open up my... we'll do it with the Windows 7 box just for giggles here. you'll notice here that let's say the lab tells me to go in, or we're playing around and they say create a folder called Superdale. So there's my Superdale folder, and I get done with the lab. Maybe it's something destructive, maybe it's not, but I want to go back to before I had Superdale installed or created. Well, I can either come up here to my actions and select revert. Now remember, I just told you that any changes I made since the snapshot is stored in the now. So if I revert back to the booted snapshot. But I sometimes am a little bit more picky when it comes to applying or reverting my snapshots because I want to know exactly where I'm going. So what I'll typically do is this. I'm going to take my window here and move it off to the side. And so you can see this happen. I'm going to right click on my booted and select to apply this snapshot. Watch what happens to my box. It's going to shut off, snap right back on, and you'll notice that the Superdale folder is gone, but check this out. All my settings are still there that I did or that I set up when I created my snapshot. Now, what's nice about this is that when I'm done, I can just highlight all these machines and I don't have to shut them down nicely because I have a snapshot of them up and running. So I can pull the power plug. But if I pull the power plug, you'll notice they turned off very, very quickly. If I pull the power plug, I've got to go back through and make sure I highlight the booted or one of the previous snapshots. Because if I turn this back on, it's going to continue as if you physically had unplugged the power supply. And what happens? It usually comes up and says, whoa, we lost power, something happened with this machine, tell us what happened. In some cases, your files get corrupt. So I'm going to just select apply, and you'll notice that since the image, the snapshot was created, or the checkpoint was created while the machine was on, but it's physically not on, or I haven't activated it, the state turns to saved. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Apply, 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 and finally apply. And now when I'm ready to start up my labs, I can just highlight all my machines, right click and hit start. And check this out. It's going to be extremely fast as far as them popping up. I can just double click on, let's bring up the 08 R2 box. We can connect up to it and booyah, we're good. So that was our housekeeping for our virtual machines. You guys ready to start getting your hack on? Okay.